Have you ever looked at something you've created, something you've poured your heart into, and thought, the whole world needs to see this? That feeling, that ambition to take something made right here and share it globally, well, that's the dream for so many Indian entrepreneurs. But let's be honest, that path from your local workshop to a global marketplace can feel a little overwhelming. So the big question is, how do you actually do it? How do you navigate the huge, complex world of international trade? Well, that is exactly what we're going to break down today. Think of this as your personal roadmap, a clear, step-by-step guide that will take you through the entire export journey from start to finish. So, let's get started. Okay, here's our game plan. We're going to tackle this in 6 clear stages. We'll start with the why having a solid management foundation is so important. Then we'll get practical and build your blueprint with research. After that, we'll cover getting all your official paperwork in order, and then walk through what happens when you get your very first order. And finally, we'll dive deep into documentation and cover those crucial last steps, shipping your product, and of course, getting paid. All right, first things first. Before a single product gets packed into a box, a truly successful export journey begins with a solid foundation. And that foundation, well, it's all about the discipline of management. So what is export management really? It's so much more than just finding someone overseas to buy your product. It's a whole system. It's about careful planning, about organizing all your resources, your time, your money, your people, and about controlling the entire process so you can actually hit your international goals. It's the engine that's going to drive your global success. You see, a professional export manager brings a really specific set of skills to the table. And the great thing is, these skills work whether you're selling spices or software. Their success isn't vague, it's measured against clear, concrete goals. They handle the whole shebang from the initial sale all the way to the final paperwork. And, importantly, they do all this while keeping the main business lean and cost-effective, because going global can definitely get expensive if you're not careful. So, with that professional mindset in place, our very first practical step is to create a blueprint. And, every great blueprint begins with really thorough research. This is how you figure out exactly where you fit in the massive global market. Now, this flowchart kind of shows the whole journey we're talking about. I know, it might look a little complicated at first glance, but just look at the flow. See how it moves logically from research and strategy all the way through to shipping and payment? The key takeaway here is that there is a clear established process, and knowing that can be incredibly reassuring. Your research really boils down to 2 main areas. First, the product itself. You have to ask, what can I actually sell? What are people around the world looking for from India? And just as important, are there any products that are restricted? Second, the market. Okay, you have a great product, but where can you sell it? Which countries are buying what you're making, and what are their specific rules, their regulations, and their taxes? Okay, once your research has given you a clear path forward, it's time to make things official. This next stage is all about getting the registrations you need to legally start exporting from India. And you know what? It really comes down to 3 straightforward steps. First, you need a current account with a bank that's authorized to handle foreign currency. Simple enough. Second, and this one is absolutely mandatory, you have to get your Importer-Exporter Code, or IEC, from the DGFT. And third, you need to register with the correct Export Promotion Council for your product. This gets you something called an RCMC, and that little certificate is your key to unlocking a lot of government benefits. Now we get to the really exciting part. This is where a potential inquiry, a little bit of interest, turns into a real, concrete business deal. Getting that confirmed order is the trigger that sets everything else in motion, from production to shipping. The journey of an order almost always begins with a document called a pro forma invoice. The easiest way to think about this is as a formal quotation. It's your official offer to the buyer, and it lays out everything, exactly what you're selling, for how much, and all the conditions of the sale. Now, this part is absolutely crucial. A pro forma invoice is just an offer. It only becomes a confirmed, legally binding order when the buyer formally accepts it. Usually, they'll either sign it and send it back to you, or they'll set up something called a letter of credit through their bank. Only when you have that confirmation should you start production. That is your green light. So you've got a confirmed order? Fantastic. Now we move on to what many people think is the most intimidating part of exporting, the documentation. But trust me, it doesn't have to be. Let's pull back the curtain on this paper trail to success. First off, you might be wondering, why is there so much paperwork? Well, there are actually 3 really simple, very good reasons. One, it protects both you and your buyer, especially since you're working under totally different legal systems. Two, it makes sure you're following all the laws, both here in India and in the buyer's country. And three, and this is a big one for you, it's the proof you need to claim all those valuable government export benefits. Out of all the documents you'll deal with, one of the most important is the bill of lading. The absolute easiest way to think about it is as the official passport for your goods. It does two critical things. It acts as your receipt from the shipping company, proving they have your cargo, and even more importantly, it's the legal document that represents ownership of those goods. You're also going to encounter different kinds of invoices. The main one is the commercial invoice. This is basically your bill to the buyer, and it's essential for getting paid and for clearing customs. But sometimes a country might ask for a consular invoice. This is a special version that has to be certified by their own consulate, just so they can be sure they're calculating their import taxes correctly.
All right, we are in the home stretch. Your product is made, the paperwork is ready. Now we move into that final exciting phase, getting your goods to your buyer and, of course, receiving your payment. We'll also take a quick look at how technology is making all of this easier.
The final logistics follow a very clear timeline. Step 1, your goods get to the port and are cleared by customs using a document called the shipping bill. Step 2, they're loaded onto the ship and that all-important bill of lading is issued. Step 3, you present all these documents to your bank to collect your payment. And finally, step 4, you file all your paperwork to claim your export benefits. See? A logical flow. And you know, this whole process is constantly evolving and getting better. The old way involved mountains of physical paper for every single step. It was slow and it was easy to make mistakes. But the new way? It's becoming more and more digital. Thanks to something called Electronic Data Interchange, or EDI, everyone, exporters, customs, banks, can exchange documents electronically. It's making the whole system faster, cheaper, and way more accurate. Ultimately, when you take a step back, it all comes back to this simple, powerful idea. Taking your business global isn't really about luck. It's about having a clear plan and the discipline to see it through. A good plan, just like the roadmap we've walked through today, is exactly what can turn a local business into a truly global brand. We've covered the entire journey, from understanding the importance of management all the way to the final step of getting paid and claiming your benefits. The path is clear. So really, the only question left is this. Now that you have the roadmap, what's your first step going to be?